Hello, my dear friends. The golden light is spilling over the rooftops of Paris, catching the spires of Notre Dame and turning the waters of the Seine into a glittering ribbon. You can almost smell the morning's rich aroma of fresh bread from 1,000 bakeries, the faint, sweet perfume of ladies' gardens waking in the dawn. This is the city of dreams, of art, of revolution. But look closer. A fine black dust settles on the windowsill. It coats the cobblestones. It's in the air you're breathing. For the citizens of this magnificent city, it's a minor nuisance. For you, it's everything. Let's be perfectly honest. If you were one of the children we're about to follow, you most likely wouldn't survive this story. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Now, find a comfortable position. Let your body feel heavy against your bed. Imagine yourself in a quiet, safe place, looking out on that romantic, complicated, and very, very dirty city. Now, dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum. And let's ease into tonight's journey together. The world knows this Paris. It's the one immortalized in paintings, the backdrop for grand romances and sweeping historical dramas. It's a city of gleaming limestone fades, of meticulously manicured gardens at the Tuileries Palace, of carriages clattering down the Champs-Élysées carrying aristocrats in powdered wigs and silk gowns. In this version of history, the air is perfumed, the conversations are witty, and life is a beautiful, intricate dance of etiquette and power. This is the Paris of Voltaire and Rousseau, a beacon of the Enlightenment, where brilliant minds gather in glittering salons to debate the nature of man and the future of nations. It's a city that prides itself on its aesthetics, its refinement, its almost celestial beauty. The sun, they would say, shines brighter here. The stone is whiter. The very air seems charged with a sophisticated energy you can't find anywhere else on earth. This is the illusion, the pristine stage set for the grand theatre of the 18th century. But you don't live on that stage. You live underneath it, in the grime-caked machinery that makes the whole show possible. And for you, the dawn is not golden. It is grey. It doesn't smell of bread and perfume, it smells of cold, damp stone and the ever-present, acrid bite of old soot. Your day begins long before the first baker has even stoked his oven, in a place that has no windows to catch the morning light. You wake on a pile of straw, or maybe just a collection of dirty sacks in a cramped, airless cellar. The first thing you are aware of is not a sound, but a feeling. A familiar grit on your tongue and between your teeth. It's the taste of your trade, and it never, ever goes away. This is the central, inescapable truth of your life, soot. It is not just the black stuff you are paid to remove from chimneys. It is the medium in which you exist. Think of the finest, most invasive dust you can imagine, a construction dust, or fine desert sand. Now make it greasy. Make it sticky. Give it a sharp, chemical smell that stings the back of your throat. This is the soot of 18th century Paris, a concoction of carbon and creosote from countless wood and low-grade coal fires. And it is everywhere. It has worked its way into the very fabric of the city, a reality the glamorous world above does its very best to ignore. Those beautiful, white limestone buildings. Look closer. Their recessed corners and ornate carvings are permanently shadowed with a greasy black fill. The laundry that a housemaid hangs out to dry, it will be freckled with black specks before it's even dry. A constant battle against the falling grime. The water drawn from the Seine is cloudy with it. The pigeons are a darker shade of grey. Soot is the secret seasoning in every Parisian's meal, the invisible film on every surface. But for you, it is not invisible. It is your entire sensory landscape. It's caked under your fingernails, a permanent black crescent you can never scrub clean. It's worked into the creases of your elbows and knees, creating dark patches that look like bruises. Your hair, whatever its original colour, is now a dull, matted black. When you sweat, black rivulets run down your temples and the sides of your neck. When you cry, your tears trace clean paths through the mask of grime on your face. You inhale it with every breath, a slow, steady poisoning of your lungs. You are a living monument to the city's dirt, a ghost haunting the edges of its splendour. The reason for this suffocating blanket of black is simple: Paris is cold. And Parisians, from the richest duke to the poorest shopkeeper, want to be warm. They want hot meals. The city's lifeblood is fire. Thousands upon thousands of chimneys are the city's lungs, exhaling a constant, thick plume of smoke. This is the engine of domesticity, of industry, of comfort. For the wealthy lady in her hotel particular, the fire in her marble fireplace is a source of cozy, radiant heat. It's a backdrop for her social gatherings. She barely notices the smoke it produces, because once a season, a small, shadowy figure is summoned to make the problem disappear. That figure is you. The shocking reality that underpins her comfort is your entire, grim existence. The soot that might lightly dust her mantelpiece is the same soot that you will soon be swimming through. The contrast is staggering. Her world is one of soft fabrics, delicate porcelain, and filtered light. Your world is one of abrasive stone, choking darkness, and the constant, scraping texture of soot against your skin. This is the why of it all. The relentless pursuit of comfort by one class necessitates the complete and utter sacrifice of another. Your filth is the direct consequence of their cleanliness. They pay a pittance to have the ugly byproduct of their luxury literally scraped out of their lives, never having to confront the small, human tool used for the job. You are the collateral damage of their cozy evening by the fire. As you stir in the pre-dawn chill, you can already hear the city beginning to rumble to life. The first carts are moving over the cobblestones. Soon, the chimneys will begin their daily work, and so will you. You don't have much in the way of equipment. A coiled rope, perhaps a scraper. But you know, as you run a hand over your bony shoulders, that these are not your most important tools. The master who bought your contract for the season didn't choose you for your skill with a brush. He chose you for your size. He chose you because your body, small and wiry, is the only instrument that can fit where it needs to go. Your master's words from your first day echo in your mind, not with malice, but with a chilling practicality. He wasn't buying a worker, he was acquiring a piece of specialized equipment. Your worth is measured in centimeters. Your value is inverse to your size. You are, in the most literal sense, a human brush. The homes you are sent to clean are marvels of Parisian taste. The fireplace is the heart of the salon, a masterpiece of carved marble or intricate rococo plasterwork. Above it hangs a vast, gilt-framed mirror, reflecting the glittering chandelier and the polished parquet floors. On the mantelpiece sit delicate porcelain figurines and ornate clocks, ticking away the hours of a life of leisure. This fireplace is a symbol of wealth, of warmth, of family gathering. It is designed to be looked at, to be admired, to anchor the entire aesthetic of the room. It is a work of art. But you know its secret. Behind that beautiful, smiling fade of carved cherubs and elegant lines lies a dark, twisted gut. You are led to the hearth, often by a servant who avoids looking at you, who holds a cloth over her nose as if your very presence is an offensive odor. You lay a worn, soot-stained sheet on the floor, a futile gesture to contain the deluge of grime that is about to descend. You strip down to your thin trousers, your bare chest and back pale for a moment in the dim light before you are swallowed by the darkness. The opening looks impossibly small. It's a gaping black mouth, and you are the offering it demands. The first few feet are the worst. You have to contort your body, pulling your knees to your chest, twisting your shoulders to slip past the initial bend just above the fireplace opening. The air is immediately pushed from your lungs by the tight squeeze, and the absolute blackness is disorienting. There is no up or down, only the press of stone on all sides. Your only guide is the rough texture of the bricks. You begin to climb. This is not climbing in any normal sense. It is a painful, inchworm-like process. You press your elbows and knees against the sides of the flue, finding purchase on the gritty surface, and push yourself upwards, a few agonizing inches at a time. Your back is scraped raw against the rough brickwork behind you. Your knees and elbows are rubbed bloody. This is why they call you Le Romaneurth Sweeper. You are literally sweeping the chimney with your own body. The soot is not a fine powder. It's a thick, greasy, compacted layer of creosote and carbon. It flakes off in chunks, falling into your eyes, your open mouth, your nose. You try to keep your mouth shut, but you have to gasp for air, and with every breath, you swallow another mouthful of the bitter, chemical grit. Remember the taste that greets you in the morning. Here, in the belly of the beast, it is a thick, choking paste that coats your tongue and throat. Sometimes the chimney is still warm. The heat radiates from the bricks, making you sweat, which only turns the soot on your skin into a thick, black sludge. Your world shrinks to the sound of your own ragged breathing, the scrape of your skin on stone, and the soft, sinister rustle of falling soot. And then, there is the fear, the sheer, primal terror of getting stuck. Chimneys in 18th century Paris were not built as straight shafts. They were deliberately designed with sharp bends and corners, a misguided architectural theory that this would create a better draft and prevent downdrafts of smoke. For the architect, it was a clever solution. For you, it is a death trap. You come to a bend and have to twist your body in an unnatural way to get around it. You feel your hips catch, your shoulders wedge. For a heart-stopping moment, you are stuck. Panic claws at you. You are dozens of feet up, trapped in a pitch-black, airless tube. No one can see you. Your muffled cries for help would be swallowed by the stone. You have heard stories of boys who got stuck, who simply stayed there. Part of the house's permanent structure. You have to fight the panic, exhale completely to make your chest a little smaller, and push, scrape, and claw your way past the obstacle. This is the hidden logic behind the beautiful room below. The entire system is predicated on the idea that a human body can be this disposable. The architect didn't need to consider the problem of cleaning, because a solution already existed. A small, poor child from the provinces of Savoy. Your pain, your fear, your slow poisoning, it's all factored into the cost of that beautiful mantelpiece. It is the invisible, unacknowledged price of comfort and style. The shocking reality is that the very heart of the Parisian home, the symbol of its warmth and light, is a machine that requires a child to be periodically fed into its dark and dangerous inner workings. They don't see you as a person. They see you as an implement, a living tool uniquely shaped for a terrible task. The master who oversees your work might give you a cap or knee pads, not out of kindness, but for the same reason a carpenter sharpens his saw to preserve the tool for as long as possible. Finally, after what feels like an eternity of scraping and struggling, you feel a change in the air, a faint coolness on your face. You see a dim circle of grey light far above. Hope surges through you. You scramble faster, your raw elbows and knees finding new energy. The scraping sound of your body against the flue is the only sound you've known, but now it's a sound of progress, of escape. You push one last time, your head breaking through the top of the chimney pot. You gasp, sucking in a lungful of cool, clean air that feels as sweet as wine, your eyes blinking against the sudden, shocking expanse of the sky. You are perched on the rooftop, a tiny, soot-blackened gargoyle come to life, and the whole of Paris is spread out before you like a map. From here, the city is breathtaking. The illusion of glamour and order is almost perfect. You see the geometric perfection of the Place Vendôme, the sprawling majesty of the Louvre, the green carpets of the royal gardens. You can trace the elegant curve of the Seine as it winds through the heart of the city, spanned by its famous bridges, each one a testament to Parisian engineering and artistry. Down below, the streets are a river of motion. Gilded carriages with their teams of high-stepping horses, sedan chairs carried by liveried servants, fashionable ladies and gentlemen strolling with parasols and walking sticks. It is a world of colour and light. The red of a soldier's uniform, the crisp white of a linen shirt, the pastel silks of a lady's gown. From your vantage point, you are above it all. You are, for a few precious moments, the king of this city of kings. You have a god's eye view, a secret perspective that no one else possesses. The aristocrat in his carriage sees only the street level, the fade of the buildings. The philosopher in his salon sees only the intellectual currents of his time. But you see the city's true form. You see its bones, the chaotic, crowded, and beautiful mess of it all. You see the hidden courtyards where laundry is strung, the secret gardens tucked behind high walls, the narrow, winding alleys that cut between the grand boulevards. You see the city breathing, its thousands of chimneys like nostrils, exhaling their smoky breath into the pale morning sky. But this grand vista is a lie, a beautiful torment. You can see it, but you are not part of it. You are an observer, a ghost hovering over a world that will never welcome you. The soot that covers you, the very substance that allows you this privileged view, also acts as an invisible wall. It's the shocking reality of your position. You are simultaneously above the world and utterly beneath it. You are looking at a feast through a window, starving. The beauty is poignant, because it is so unattainable. The lifeblood of that city below, the commerce, the art, the politics, the romance, is a story in which you have no lines. You are part of the scenery, as inanimate and unremarked upon as the chimney pots you stand among. This separation is a fundamental law of your existence, the why that structures 18th century Parisian society. The city is built on a rigid hierarchy, a great chain of being that extends from the king down to the lowest beggar. Everyone has their place, and the system is designed to keep them there. For the people below, Your dirtiness is not just a physical state, it is a moral one. It is a visible sign of your station. You are a Savoyard, a provincial outsider from the poorest Alpine region. You are not a true Parisian. You are other. Your filth confirms their sense of order. To them, it is natural that someone so grimy should be kept at a distance. Your exclusion is not seen as an injustice. It is seen as the natural order of things, as preordained as the sun rising in the east. They need you to be dirty so that they can feel clean. They need you to be low so they can feel high. Down below, a group of well-dressed children might be playing in a park, their laughter floating up to you on the breeze. They are your age. Perhaps. They are chasing hoops, watched over by a governess in a starched white cap. Their clothes are clean, their faces are bright, their futures are secure. The contrast is a physical blow. You are the same species, the same age, yet you live in entirely different universes. Their biggest concern might be a scraped knee. Your biggest concern is falling from this roof, or getting trapped in the next flue. You watch them, and a hollow ache settles in your chest. You are a child who has never been allowed to be a child. Your work isn't done. You pull up your scraper on its rope and begin the second part of your job, cleaning the chimney pot itself. You brace yourself against the steep pitch of the slate roof, your bare feet surprisingly adept at finding purchase. You lean out over the edge, your stomach lurching as you look at the sheer drop to the cobblestones below. One slip, one gust of wind, and your brief reign as king of the rooftops would be over. You scrape at the hardened layers of creosote that have built up around the opening, sending a shower of black flakes down into the street. A passerby might curse and shake his fist, never realizing the small boy precariously balanced 5 stories above his head. When you are finished, you take one last look at the city. The sun is higher now. The streets busier. The illusion is in full swing. From this height, you can't see the grime in the corners of the buildings, you can't smell the stench of the gutters, you can't hear the desperation in the cries of the street vendors. You can only see the grand, beautiful lie. It is a vision that will stay with you, a dream of a world you can see but never enter. It is a reminder of everything you are not, and everything you can never be. With a sigh that stirs the soot on your lips, you turn back to the black mouth of the chimney. It's time to go back down, back into the darkness, to be born again into the filth of the world below. Your brief moment of freedom is over. The descent is faster, a controlled slide that fills the air with another choking cloud of black dust. As you emerge back into the salon, a black, monstrous thing covered in grime, you hear a faint but distinct sound from the world you just left behind, a sound that is both your signature and your curse. That sound you hear from the world below is the cry of another boy, just like you. It's a strange, lilting, and deeply melancholic call that cuts through the general clamour of the Parisian streets. Ramenez, Ramenez, le chemin de haut en bas, sweep, sweep, the chimney from top to bottom. It's a melody known to every resident of the city, as familiar as the cry of the water seller or the knife grinder. This is your advertisement, your song, your brand. In a city that prides itself on the beauty of its language, on the witty repartee of the salons and the soaring rhetoric of the theatre, your public voice is a crude, repetitive, and functional chant. This is the grand illusion of Parisian communication, a world of elegant phrases, of poetry, of philosophical debate. The city is a symphony of sophisticated sound, but you are the city's grinding, necessary bass note. The reality is that the most essential services are announced with the most primitive sounds. Your cry is not meant to be beautiful. It's meant to be heard. It has to slice through the noise of iron-shod wheels on stone, the braying of donkeys, the haggling of market-goers, and the endless chatter. It's a sound born of necessity, honed over generations of boys from the same impoverished region of Savoy. It has a specific cadence, a unique, almost yodeling quality that makes it instantly identifiable. It's the sound of poverty, the audio signature of your otherness. This distinctive cry is a crucial part of the why behind your existence in Paris. You and your fellow Savoyards are a migratory tribe, arriving in the autumn when the weather turns cold and leaving in the spring when the need for fires subsides. You are, in essence, seasonal workers, a foreign legion imported for a specific, undesirable task. The cry is your uniform, as much as the soot on your skin. It immediately marks you as a Romanier. It tells the world who you are, and what you are for. For the Parisian housewife who hears it from her window, it's a simple reminder, the chimneys need cleaning. She doesn't hear the homesickness in it, the loneliness, the hunger. She hears a service being offered. The shocking truth behind this quaint, folksy street cry is what it represents: a child selling himself. You wander the streets from dawn until dusk, often alone, chanting your availability. You are a walking, talking advertisement for your own labor. Your voice is not your own, it belongs to your master. The few cents a customer pays for your service will go directly into his pocket. Your payment is the meager food and squalid lodging he provides, so you walk, and you cry, and you hope. You peer up at the endless rows of chimney pots, looking for the telltale sign of a sluggish curl of smoke that indicates a clogged flue. Your route takes you through a bewildering variety of neighborhoods, each a world unto itself. You walk through the Marais, with its ancient, leaning aristocratic mansions. Here, the doors are heavy oak, and the knockers are polished brass. You might be called in by a stern-faced butler who watches you with suspicion, as if your very presence might tarnish the family's honor. Then you might wander into the Latin Quarter, the student district. Here the buildings are taller, shabbier, crammed with aspiring poets and penniless scholars. They have fireplaces too, but they are smaller, meaner, and the pay is less. The students might mock your strange accent, your foreign cry, seeing you as a rustic simpleton, even as they depend on you to keep from freezing in their garrets. In the market district of Les Hoys, the noise is overwhelming. Butchers shout, fishwives scream insults, and the air is thick with the smell of blood, rotting vegetables, and unwashed humanity. Here, your cry is almost lost in the din. People push past you without a glance. You are just another part of the city's messy, vibrant, and brutal ecosystem. You are invisible. Sometimes, a kind solar baker's wife perhaps will see the exhaustion in your small frame and give you a stale piece of bread. You devour it on the spot, the rough crust scratching your throat, the gritty taste of soot from your own hands mingling with the taste of the flour. These small moments of kindness are rare jewels in a mountain of indifference. You learn to read the city not by its street signs, but by its smells and sounds. You know the scent of wealth, a faint whiff of beeswax, leather, and perfume. You know the scent of poverty, damp wool, coal smoke, and unemptied chamber pots. You learn to interpret the silences. A street that is too quiet in the middle of the day might be home to the very rich, who conduct their lives behind high walls and closed doors. Your cry is a paradox. It makes you known, yet it erases you. It announces your function while rendering your humanity invisible. You chant the words, but they have lost all meaning. They are just a sound you make, a tool you use, like the scraper on your belt. As the afternoon wears on, your voice grows raw, your throat sore. The yodeling lilt flattens into a weary monotone. You are tired. Your feet ache. The bag of soot on your back, collected from the day's chimneys, grows heavier and heavier. This soot is also not yours. It belongs to your master, who will sell it to farmers for fertilizer or to tanners for use in dye. Every part of your labor, even its waste products, is monetized for someone else's benefit. As dusk begins to settle, painting the sky in shades of purple and grey, you see a fine carriage pull up to a grand house. The door opens, and a lady in a shimmering silk gown steps out, her face a perfect, powdered mask. She is on her way to the opera, to a world of sublime music and high drama. Your worlds are about to intersect in the most intimate and grimy way imaginable. The butler who opens the door of this grand house looks down his long, aristocratic nose at you. He sees a smudge, a necessary evil. He leads you not through the main hall, with its checkered marble floor and soaring ceilings, but down a series of narrow, dark service corridors. This is the secret circulatory system of the house, where the real work happens, hidden from the delicate sensibilities of its owners. This is the world of the servants, a rigid hierarchy all its own, and you are at the very bottom of it. You pass the kitchens, a chaotic ballet of steam, clanging copper pots, and shouting cooks. The air is thick with the tantalizing smells of roasting meat and simmering sauces, a world away from the stale bread and gritty water that constitutes your diet. You are a ghost passing through a banquet. You are brought to the lady's private chambers, her boudoir. This is the most intimate space in the house, a sanctuary of femininity and luxury. The illusion here is one of effortless, pristine beauty. The room is a confection of pale silks, gilded furniture, and delicate lace. A dressing table is littered with silver-backed brushes, crystal perfume bottles, and small porcelain pots of rouge and powder. The air is heavy with the scent of tuberose and orange blossom, a deliberate and expensive effort to perfume the world, to hold the city's grime at bay. In the corner, a magnificent fireplace, smaller and more ornate than the one in the main salon, waits for your attention. This fire is not just for warmth, it is for ambience. It casts a soft, flattering glow for the lady as she prepares for her evening. The shocking reality is your presence in this sacred space. You are the antithesis of everything this room stands for. You are a walking, breathing stain. As you lay down your soot sheet on the priceless Aubusson carpet, you are acutely aware of your own filth. Every particle of soot that falls from your clothes or your bag feels like a desecration. The maid who supervises you watches your every move, her face a mask of anxious disapproval. You are a contamination, a piece of the city's foul exterior that has breached the perfumed walls of this inner sanctum. You do your work, climbing into the narrow flue, your scraped skin and ragged breathing a silent, violent secret hidden behind the pretty fade of the room. When you emerge, covered in a fresh, thick layer of grease and soot, you are a creature from a nightmare, standing in a room designed for dreams. The contrast is jarring, almost violent. Your black, smudged handprint on the wall, accidentally left as you steadied yourself, is an act of vandalism. The fine black dust that now settles on the silk bedspread and the polished dressing table is a victory for the grime you represent, a temporary triumph of reality over illusion. This intrusion is tolerated for one simple reason, the why that governs this whole transaction. The lady cannot abide being cold and she cannot abide being dirty. Her comfort is paramount, and it requires this brief, unpleasant intersection of two opposite worlds. She needs the fireplace to work, to provide its gentle, romantic heat. But she also needs to believe that her world is clean, pure, and effortless. So, she pays to have the dirty work done by a creature from another realm, a disposable being whose filth doesn't truly count. You are the unspoken price of her aesthetic. You are the grubby, secret truth behind her flawless public image. She will return from the opera later that night, step into her pristine, warm boudoir and never once think about the small, shivering boy who crawled through her walls to make it so. She has successfully outsourced the ugliness of her comfort. As the maid scurries to clean up the new layer of grime you've introduced, you gather your things. Your eyes fall upon a pair of gloves lying on a chair. They are made of the finest, softest kid leather, dyed a fashionable pale lavender. But what you notice is that they are heavily perfumed. This is a common practice. The tanning process for leather in the 18th century is a foul, stomach-turning business involving vats of urine and dog dung. To make the final product wearable, especially for a lady of quality, the leather must be saturated with powerful perfumes. The beautiful, delicate glove is a lie. It is a thing of filth, masterfully disguised. In that moment, you see a strange kinship. You and the glove are both hiding a dirty secret. The glove conceals the stink of its own creation under a blanket of lavender. The entire house, with its fragrant pomanders and scented powders, is trying to do the same thing on a grander scale to conceal the stink and dirt of the city itself. And you, in a way, are part of that process. You take the dirt from inside the house and carry it outside. You are a living, breathing part of the city's desperate attempt to sanitize itself, to maintain the illusion of cleanliness. The maid thrusts a few coins into your master's hand. He is waiting by the service door and shoves you out into the night, eager to be rid of you. You are back in the dark, cold street. The smells of the kitchen, the perfume of the boudoir, are already fading from your memory, replaced by the familiar smells of damp stone and open sewers. The brief, disorienting trip into the world of luxury is over. It was like visiting another planet. You look down at your own hands, black and raw. There is no perfume that could disguise the reality of your work, no illusion to hide behind. You are what you are, a child made of soot. The coins your master pockets will ensure a fire burns in his own hearth tonight, and that there is a meal waiting for you and the other boys. That meal, you know, will be a world away from the roasts and sauces you just smelled. It will be simple, repetitive, and most likely gritty. Parisian cuisine in the 18th century is a theatrical, almost architectural art form. This is the age of Antonin Carme, the king of chefs and chef of kings. It's the birth of the restaurant as we know it. The wealthy elite of Paris engage in a kind of competitive gourmandizing, their tables groaning under the weight of fantastical creations. Whole peacocks are roasted and then reassembled with their feathers, their beaks gilded. Sugar is spun into elaborate sculptures of castles and mythological creatures. Sauces are complex, multi-day affairs involving dozens of ingredients, each one meticulously balanced. This is the grand illusion, Food is a demonstration of power, wealth, and exquisite taste. A dinner party, a grand Parisian home is a feast for the eyes as much as the stomach, a perfectly orchestrated performance of culinary magnificence. The food is delicate, refined, and utterly divorced from its humble origins on the farm or in the sea. Your reality is a stark, brutal contrast. After a long day of walking, climbing, and choking on soot, you return to the cellar you call home. The master, or his wife, ladles out your dinner. It is almost always the same, a thin, watery gruel or a hunk of dark, heavy bread. Sometimes there is a lump of cheese, hard and sharp, or a piece of sausage so greasy it coats your mouth. The meal is served in a crude wooden bowl, and you eat it with your fingers or a cheap pewter spoon. There are no spun sugar castles here. There is only sustenance, the bare minimum of fuel required to keep the machine of your body working for another day. The most shocking and constant feature of your diet is the taste of grit. No matter how carefully you wipe your hands on your trousers before eating, the soot is always there. It's ingrained in your skin, under your nails, a permanent part of you. As you lift the bread to your mouth, you can feel the fine, sandy texture of the grime that coats your fingers. With every bite, you swallow more of your trade. The soot gets into the food as it's prepared in the same grimy cellar where you sleep. It's in the air, settling on every surface. So, your soup has a faint, acrid aftertaste. Your bread has a crunch that is not from a well-baked crust. This is the why of your culinary experience. Your food is not meant for pleasure. It is purely functional. In the worldview of your master, and of Parisian society at large, you are not a person who requires or deserves the luxury of flavor. You are a tool, and this is your fuel. Keeping you fed is a simple matter of economics. The master must provide enough calories to allow you to climb chimneys, but anything more would be a waste of his precious money. Variety, taste, presentation, these are concepts from another universe. The simplicity and coarseness of your food reinforces your station in life. Just as the aristocrat's delicate meal affirms his refinement, your gritty pottage confirms your earthiness, your connection to the dirt. You sit on the damp floor of the cellar with the other boys, wolfing down your meal in the dim light of a single tallow candle. The candle itself gives off a foul, greasy smoke, adding another layer of grime to the already thick air. There is no conversation, only the sound of slurping and chewing. You are all too tired for talk. You eat with a desperate, animal urgency. You never know if this meal will be your last of the day, or if tomorrow will bring enough work to earn another. Sometimes, you walk past the newly established restaurants near the Palais Royal. Their windows are clean, their interiors glow with candlelight. Through the glass you can see gentlemen in fine coats sitting at individual tables, studying menus, being served by attentive waiters. The very concept is baffling. People paying money to eat in public, choosing from a list of dishes. It's a world of unimaginable luxury and choice. You might press your face to the cold glass, your breath fogging the pain, just to catch a glimpse of a roasted chicken or a glistening pastry. The smells that waft out when the door opens are intoxicating. A complex perfume of butter, wine, and herbs that makes your stomach ache with a hollow, painful longing. You are literally on the outside looking in, separated by a thin sheet of glass and a vast, unbridgeable social chasm. Even the water you drink is a testament to your place in the world. The wealthy have water delivered to their homes in barrels from cleaner parts of the Seine, or they drink wine. You drink the water that is freely available from the polyfarmers. This water is murky, filled with sediment, human and animal waste, and of course, the ubiquitous soot that has washed into the river. It tastes of stone and decay. It's often the cause of sickness, of the stomach cramps and fevers that plague the poor districts of the city. But it is all you have. Tonight, as you finish your meager, gritty portion, you watch your master count the day's earnings. The coins clink into a heavy leather pouch. That pouch contains the price of your raw elbows, your aching back, your choked lungs, and the constant, bitter taste in your mouth. You see the money, you can hear it, you can smell the metallic tang of it in the air, but none of it will ever touch your own sooty palm. It belongs to him, just as you do. The clinking of those coins in your master's pouch is the sound of your own life being sold, piece by piece. In the grand narrative of 18th century Paris, this is the age of emerging ideas about liberty and individual rights. Philosophers in their warm, well-lit studies are writing treatises on the social contract, the idea that government is an agreement between the rulers and the governed, based on mutual obligations. They argue that all men are born with certain inalienable rights. The air is buzzing with revolutionary concepts of personal freedom and the abolition of old feudal bonds. This is the glamorous illusion of the Enlightenment, the great awakening of human consciousness, a march towards a more just and equitable world. The shocking reality of your life is that you are, for all practical purposes, a piece of property. You are bound by a contract that is a twisted, cruel parody of the social contract being debated in the salons. Your parents, driven by a poverty so desperate it's hard to even imagine, have sold your labor to your master for a fixed period, usually from autumn to spring, in exchange for a small sum of money enough to keep the rest of the family from starving through the winter they have handed you over completely. You are not an employee. You are a seasonal commodity. The why behind this brutal transaction is a logic rooted in centuries of tradition and the harsh realities of rural poverty. In the remote alpine villages of Savoy, life is a constant struggle against starvation. The land is poor, the winters are long, and families are large. The temporary sale of a young son is not seen as an act of cruelty, but as a grim necessity, a strategy for survival. It is a choice made from a complete lack of better choices. From the perspective of your parents, they are giving you a chance to earn a trade, to see the world, and most importantly, to be fed through the winter. From the perspective of the master, he is engaging in a legitimate, time-honored business practice. He is not a slave owner in the legal sense, but he holds absolute power over you for the duration of the contract. He is your guardian, your employer, and your warden. This contract governs every aspect of your existence. You cannot leave his service. If you were to run away, you would be a fugitive, with no legal status, no money, and no one to turn to. Your master is entitled to every single sou you earn. The coins paid by the lady in the silk gown or the butler in the grand house go directly to him. He is also entitled to the byproducts of your labor, like the bags of soot you collect, which he sells for a profit. You are a walking, climbing, profit-generating asset. He has obligations, of course, but they are minimal. He must provide you with food, but as you know, it is the cheapest, barest minimum food imaginable. He must provide you with shelter, but that shelter is a filthy, crowded cellar. He must provide you with tools, but your primary tool is your own body, which costs him nothing to use and is, in his eyes, replaceable. He might give you a second-hand pair of trousers or a thin blanket, but these are not gifts, they are investments in his property, designed to keep you functional for as long as the season lasts. Your life is a relentless cycle of work, with no concept of a day off. You work from before dawn until after dusk, 7 days a week. Sickness is not an option. If you are too ill to climb, you do not eat. The fear of hunger is a powerful motivator, driving you to push your small, aching body far beyond its limits. You are trapped. The contract is a cage, and Paris is its vast, bewildering interior. You see other forms of bondage all around you. You see the servants in the great houses, bound by their own contracts of employment, living at the beck and call of their masters and mistresses, with little personal freedom. You see the apprentices in the workshops, tied to their masters for years, often treated little better than you are. You see the horses, straining to pull heavy carts, whipped by their drivers. The entire city seems to run on a system of control and exploitation, from the highest to the lowest. The grand ideals of liberty being whispered in the salons have not yet trickled down to the grimy cobblestones of your world. Occasionally, you might see a notice pasted to a wall, a decree from the king or the city authorities. You cannot read it, of course. Literacy is a luxury for another class. For you, the world of written words, of laws and contracts and philosophical ideas, is a complete mystery. Your contract was an oral agreement, sealed with a handshake and a few coins pressed into your father's hand. Your master is the sole interpreter of its terms. His word is law. As you lie in the cellar, trying to find a comfortable position on your sack of straw, you can hear the other boys breathing, coughing, and whimpering in their sleep. You are all in the same boat, a small brotherhood of the dispossessed. You are all owned, all contracted, all just pieces of temporary property. The only freedom you have is in your dreams, and even those are often filled with the terrifying sensation of falling, or of being stuck in a tight, dark space. The city outside is dreaming of revolution and freedom, but in here, in the soot-stained heart of it all, you are bound by chains you can feel but cannot see. As you move through the city, a small, soot-covered wraith, you notice the strange and contradictory ways people react to you. On one hand, you are an object of disgust. People shrink away from you on the street. Mothers pull their children closer, as if your grime might be contagious. Shopkeepers watch you with narrowed eyes, their hands protectively near their merchandise. You are a pariah, a walking symbol of the dirt and poverty that the respectable world wants to keep at a distance. This is the illusion you are meant to fulfill, the grubby, untrustworthy outsider. But then, a strange thing happens. A fine carriage clatters to a halt nearby. A wealthy merchant, on his way to close an important deal, spots you. His face, which was stern and preoccupied, breaks into a relieved smile. He calls you over, his voice urgent. He doesn't want you to clean a chimney. He fumbles in his purse and presses a small coin into your hand. "For luck, boy," he says, before climbing back into his carriage and rattling away. You stare at the coin in your filthy palm, bewildered. A moment later, a young bride, dressed in her wedding finery, is being led from her family's home to the church. The father sees you standing on the corner. He steers his daughter towards you, and she, with a look of barely concealed revulsion, reaches out a gloved hand and lightly touches your shoulder. She quickly withdraws it, as if she has touched something hot. But her father beams, satisfied. A ritual has been performed. This is the shocking, illogical reality of your existence. You are simultaneously a figure of contempt and a bearer of good fortune. You are a living paradox, a dirty devil who brings good luck. This belief is woven deeply into the fabric of Parisian superstition. To see a chimney sweep, especially first thing in the morning or on an important occasion like a wedding or a business venture, is considered a powerful omen of success. The why behind this bizarre contradiction lies in the deep-seated, pre-scientific worldview that still held sway in the 18th century, even among the educated. It's a world where magic, omens, and luck are still powerful forces. The logic, as far as it can be understood, is a tangled web of associations. Fire is a powerful, dangerous, and almost magical element. It gives warmth and life, but it can also destroy. The chimney is the conduit for this power, a mysterious, dark portal within the home. You, the one who can master this dark space, who can enter it and emerge unharmed, are therefore seen as having some control over the forces of darkness and fire. You are seen as a kind of benign demon, a creature who has tamed the underworld of the hearth. By touching you, or giving you a coin, people believe they are co-opting your strange power. They are warding off the bad luck associated with firehouse fire, the financial ruin, and absorbing the good luck associated with your mastery over it. Your very blackness, the source of their disgust, becomes the source of your magical power. Black is the color of the underworld, of mystery, of the soot you control. In a strange, symbolic way, by interacting with you, they are making a small pact with the darkness to keep the greater darkness at bay. It's a form of ritual purification in reverse. They don't want to be clean of you, they want to be touched by your specific, powerful grime. This belief is a form of social and psychological control. It allows people to manage their anxieties about the chaotic and unpredictable nature of life. Worried about your business deal? Find a sweep. Anxious about your marriage? Touch a sweep. It's a way of imposing a magical order onto a world that often feels random and cruel. But it also reinforces your otherness. You are not lucky because you are a human being who works hard. You are lucky because you are a strange, almost non-human creature. The belief doesn't elevate you, it exoticizes you. It turns you from a person into a charm, an object, a convenient repository for their hopes and fears. You quickly learn to play this role. When you see a wedding party, you might linger nearby, knowing that your mere presence has a monetary value. The coin the merchant gave you is a rare bonus, a tiny spark of income that you might be able to hide from your master. It is a pittance, but it is yours. You might use it to buy a roasted chestnut from a street vendor, the brief, sweet warmth, a luxury that feels almost sinful. But the role is a dangerous one. Your association with darkness is a double-edged sword. While some see you as good luck, others see you as a literal imp, a devil's agent. On the dark, winding streets at night, a drunken man might cross himself and spit as you pass, muttering about demons. If a fire does break out in a house you recently cleaned, the whispers will start. Did the sweep do his job properly? Or did he, with his dark magic, somehow curse the house? You are a convenient scapegoat, a lightning rod for the city's fears. Your luck-giving status is conditional, and it can be revoked at any moment. You are a walking contradiction, a repository of the city's most irrational beliefs. You are both reviled and revered, shunned and sought after. You are the dirty secret and the lucky charm. As you stand there, the merchant's coin warm in your hand, you are a perfect symbol of the 18th century mind, a place where the new light of reason and the old shadows of superstition wage a constant, silent war, and your body, your small, soot-stained body, is the battlefield. The grime that covers you is not just physical dirt, it's a thick layer of magical thinking, a patina of fear and hope. This soot, you begin to realize, is not just on your skin. It is seeping into you, changing you in ways you can't yet understand. The soot that clings to you is more than just a uniform or a magical totem. It is a constant, invasive presence. You wash, of course, but not in the way the wealthy do, with scented soaps in porcelain tubs. Your washing is a functional, brutal affair. Perhaps once a week, you and the other boys are herded to the Seine, even in the biting cold, to scrub at your skin with coarse brushes and harsh, lye-based soap that leaves your skin red and raw. The illusion of health in the 18th century, particularly among the upper classes, is paramount. They powder their faces to a ghostly white to hide blemishes and smallpox scars, rouge their cheeks to mimic a youthful flush, and believe that diseases are spread by miasma or bad air. They see health as an aesthetic, a surface-level quality. The shocking reality, hidden beneath your layers of grime, is a slow and insidious poisoning. The soot you live and breathe is not inert dust. It is a toxic cocktail of carcinogens. The constant irritation from the soot particles lodging in the folds of your skin, particularly in the groin, creates sores and chronic inflammation. This condition is so specific to your trade that it has its own horrifying name, chimney sweeps cancer. It is the first industrially linked cancer ever discovered, a terrifying and deadly affliction that is unique to you and your brothers in grime. The why behind this medical horror is a tragic collision of industrial progress and medical ignorance. The widespread burning of coal, which became more common in the 18th century, produced a far more toxic and carcinogenic soot than simple wood smoke. At the same time, medical science was still in its infancy. Doctors did not understand the concept of carcinogens. They didn't know that an external substance could invade the body and corrupt it from within. They might see the tumours and sores that developed on the young sweeps, but they would likely misdiagnose them as a form of venereal disease or some other ailment associated with the perceived moral failings of the poor. The idea that a boy's job could be literally seeding his body with a fatal disease was beyond their comprehension. Your sickness is a direct, unseen consequence of the city's demand for cheaper, hotter burning fuel. Paris wants to be warm, and the price is a terminal illness for the children who keep its chimneys clean. You don't know the science of it, of course. You only know the reality. You notice the older boys, the ones who are 13 or 14, scratching constantly. You see the painful-looking sores on their skin that never seem to heal. They become sullen and quiet, their energy draining away. They lose weight. You might hear them at night, groaning in their sleep from a deep, internal pain. An older boy you once shared your bread with might simply disappear one day. The master will say he has gone home to Savoy, but the hushed whispers among the other boys tell a different story. He got the sickness. He was no longer useful, no longer able to climb, and so he was discarded. Your body, which is your only tool, becomes your enemy. The very skin that is scraped raw inside the chimneys becomes a site of betrayal. The soot, your constant companion, is a slow-acting poison. This is a horror far more intimate than the fear of falling or getting stuck. Those are swift, immediate dangers. This is a creeping, invisible threat, a seed of death that you carry with you every moment of every day. You might feel a persistent itch, a small, hard lump. You ignore it, hoping it will go away. You are a child. The idea of your own body turning against you is a concept too monstrous to grasp. You see the fashionable Parisians in their carriages, their faces powdered, their bodies corseted and perfumed. They are obsessed with controlling the appearance of their bodies, with creating an illusion of perfect, aristocratic health, yet they are utterly blind to the real, grotesque disease that their lifestyle is inflicting upon you. Your terminal illness is the hidden, festering secret at the heart of their cozy, fire-lit world. They wrinkle their noses at your smell, but they are oblivious to the fact that the very air you all breathe is slowly killing you. Remember the perfumed glove, designed to hide the foul smell of its own creation? Your body has become a similar paradox. On the outside, you are just a dirty boy. But inside, in your very cells, a deadly process is beginning, a direct result of the filth you are forced to live in. The soot is not just on your skin anymore. It has worked its way inside, becoming a part of your biology. As you huddle in the cellar, trying to get some sleep, you scratch at an itch on your leg. It's a mindless, automatic gesture. But tonight, it feels different. The skin is a little rougher, a little more irritated than usual. You try not to think about it. You try not to think about the boy who disappeared last week. You roll over, pulling the thin, soot-stained blanket tighter around your shoulders. In the cold, damp dark of the cellar, surrounded by the soft sounds of sleeping, coughing bodies, a new kind of fear begins to take root, a fear not of the chimney, but of yourself. The world of 18th century Paris is one of grand associations and exclusive societies. The illusion is one of elegant, chosen community. The aristocrats have their salons, where they gather to trade witty remarks and political gossip. The intellectuals have their academies, formal institutions for the advancement of science and letters. The skilled artisans have their guilds, powerful brotherhoods that control trade, set standards, and protect the secrets of their craft. Each of these groups provides a sense of belonging, of shared identity and mutual support. They are networks of power and influence, formal structures that give a person a place and a purpose in the city's complex social landscape. Your reality is the cellar. This is your guild, your salon, your academy. It is a squalid, subterranean space, often damp and flooded, with no light and little air. The only furniture is the pile of dirty sacks in the corner that serves as a communal bed. The air is thick with the smell of unwashed bodies, stale sweat, old soot, and the lingering odour of the cheap tallow candle. This is the antithesis of the perfumed, well-lit spaces where the powerful gather. And yet, it is here, in this grim and forgotten place, that you find your only true community. The shocking truth is that in this miserable hole, a fragile, unspoken, and deeply human brotherhood takes root. You are a collection of lonely, frightened boys, torn from your families and thrust into a brutal and alien world. You are all rivals for the master's meagre favour, all competitors for the next piece of bread. And yet, you are the only ones who understand. You are bound together by a shared experience that no one else in the city could possibly comprehend. The why behind this bond is simple. Primal necessity. You huddle together for warmth. On the coldest nights, the press of other small bodies is the only thing that stands between you and the bone-deep chill of the cellar. You sleep in a heap, a tangle of skinny limbs and soot-matted hair, sharing what little body heat you collectively possess. This physical closeness, born of desperation, fosters a deeper connection. It breaks down the barriers of individual misery and forges a collective identity. You are not just a boy, you are one of the Romaneurs. This brotherhood has its own silent language, its own unwritten rules. You learn to read the state of another boy's soul in the slump of his shoulders, or the tremor in his hand. You share information in quiet murmurs after the master has gone to bed. The flue at number 12 Rue Saint-Honor is narrow at the second bend. The cook at the baker's on Rue de l'Arbre Sec will give you a burnt roll if you look pathetic enough. This is your guild knowledge, the secret wisdom of your trade, passed not in a grand hall but in whispers in the dark. You look after each other in small, almost invisible ways. If a younger boy is crying from homesickness, an older one might awkwardly pat his shoulder or share a story from his own village in Savoy to create a fleeting sense of a shared home. Where boy comes back from a particularly difficult chimney, his elbows and knees bleeding, another might silently pass him a rag dipped in the bucket of murky water. These are not grand gestures of friendship. They are small, instinctive acts of empathy, born from the simple recognition of seeing your own suffering reflected in someone else's eyes. You might have a climbing partner, a boy you are often paired with for larger jobs. You learn to trust him implicitly. He is the one who holds the rope at the bottom, who listens for your cries, who will call for help if you get stuck. Your life is literally in his hands, and his is in yours. This creates a bond of trust more powerful than any business contract or social obligation. Remember the fear of the sickness. The chimney sweeps cancer. Here in the cellar, it is a shared dread. You see the signs on an older boy and a collective, unspoken pity settles over the group. You might give him the better part of your bread, or make sure he has a spot in the middle of the sleeping pile where it's warmest. You are tending to one of your own, in the only ways you know how, offering a clumsy, silent compassion in the face of a shared fate. This community is a stark contrast to the formal, performative society of the world above. In the salons, friendship is a currency, a tool for social advancement. In your cellar, it is a shield, a fragile defense against a world that is actively trying to destroy you. The wealthy bond over shared pleasures of fine wine, a witty play, a successful business venture. You bond over shared pain, a raw knee, a hungry stomach, a night of fearful dreams. The solidarity you find is not an illusion. It is the most real and vital thing in your life. It is a small, flickering candle of humanity in a vast, cold darkness. As you lie in the pile of sleeping boys, you feel a hand find yours in the dark and give it a quick squeeze. No words are exchanged. None are needed. In this stinking, miserable cellar, you are not entirely alone. Winter descends on Paris like a sentence. The city, which in other seasons possesses a certain romantic charm, becomes a place of grim endurance. The sky is a uniform, oppressive grey. A damp, biting wind whips down the narrow streets, seeming to penetrate stone walls and the thickest wool cloaks. For the wealthy, this is the season of interior life, of cosy domesticity. The illusion is one of cheerful defiance against the cold. Fires are lit in every hearth, their warm glow pushing back the gloom. The city's elite retreat into their well-stuffed hotels, particulars, gathering for card games, intimate dinners and musical evenings. The cold outside is an inconvenience, a picturesque backdrop to their comfort. The sound of a log crackling on the fire is the soundtrack to their security. For you, winter is not a backdrop, it is the main event. It is your busiest, most brutal, and most dangerous season. The shocking reality is that the city's desperate need for warmth is a direct threat to your life. As thousands of fireplaces are brought into constant use, the build-up of soot and creosote happens much faster. The risk of chimney fires skyrockets. Your services are in constant, frantic demand. Your master drives you and the other boys mercilessly, trying to capitalize on the peak season. The cold that drives the Parisians indoors is the same cold that forces you out onto the rooftops. The why is the simple, brutal economics of supply and demand. Cold creates the demand for fire, fire creates the demand for your work. You are an essential part of the city's winter infrastructure, as vital as the wood sellers and the coal merchants. The comfort of the entire city rests on the willingness of small boys to perform a terrifying task in the most lethal conditions. Society has tacitly agreed that this is an acceptable price to pay for staying warm. The thought of a child on a frozen roof is a remote and abstract concept, easily ignored when one is sipping hot, spiced wine by a roaring fire. Your day, already grueling, becomes a nightmare of cold. You wake in the pre-dawn blackness to a cellar that is colder than a tomb. Your breath plumes in the air. The pile of sacks you sleep on offers no warmth. Your clothes, thin and ragged, are perpetually damp. The hunk of bread you are given for breakfast is frozen solid, and you have to gnaw on it, the icy crumbs hurting your teeth. Then you are sent out into the frozen city. The cobblestones are slick with ice, and you slip and slide, your bare or poorly shod feet aching with a pain so intense it feels like burning. But the real danger begins when you arrive at a job. The roofs are the most treacherous places in Paris. A layer of snow might hide a patch of ice. The slate tiles are brittle with frost and can crack under your weight. A sudden gust of wind can threaten to rip you from your precarious perch and send you plummeting to the street below. Your hands, already raw from climbing, become numb and clumsy with cold. You lose your sense of touch, making it harder to find a secure grip. The chimneys themselves are even more dangerous. Sometimes, you are sent to clean a flue that is still hot from a recent fire. You go from the freezing air into a pocket of searing heat, your skin shocked by the sudden temperature change. Worse, you might be sent to put out a chimney fire that has already started. This is the most terrifying job of all. You are forced to climb into a flue that is literally an inferno, a roaring tube of flame. The master might soak your clothes and cap in water before you go in, a flimsy and often useless precaution. You go in, blinded by smoke, choked by fumes, the roar of the fire deafening in the enclosed space. You beat at the flames with a wet sack, your own body just inches from being consumed. You are fighting fire with your own fragile flesh. Remember the brotherhood of the cellar. It becomes even more vital in winter. You learn to rely on your climbing partner completely. He's your anchor in a sea of ice and wind. You watch each other's footing, call out warnings about loose tiles or icy patches. Back in the cellar at night, you huddle even closer, pooling your misery and your body heat. You might see a boy with frostbite, his fingers and toes turning a dead, waxy white. There is no doctor, no medicine. You just watch, helpless, as his body is claimed by the cold. The city, in its quest for warmth, has become a giant, heat-sucking machine, and you are its fuel. You are being consumed by the very comfort you are providing. The cheerful, crackling fires in the cozy salons below are fed by your suffering. As you stand on a high, frozen roof, the icy wind tearing at your thin shirt, you look down at the warm, golden squares of light that are the windows of the houses below. They are like portals to another world, a world of warmth, safety, and comfort that you can see, that you can even help create, but that you can never, ever enter. The soot on your skin freezes into a stiff, icy mask, and you wonder if you will ever feel warm again. In the gilded salons and formal courtrooms of 18th century Paris, justice is a grand and theatrical illusion. It is a system built on rhetoric, status, and the appearance of order. Lawyers in black robes and powdered wigs argue points of law with eloquent precision. Judges, draped in ermine, deliver their verdicts with solemn gravity. The entire process is designed to project an image of rational, impartial authority. The law, in this idealized vision, is a majestic force that protects the innocent, punishes the guilty, and maintains the delicate balance of society. It is a system that prides itself on evidence, testimony, and due process. The shocking reality you live with every day is that for you, justice is determined by the color of your skin, your soot-stained hands, the very mark of your honest, if brutal, trade, are seen as the indelible mark of a thief. In the eyes of the law and the public, you are permanently, inescapably guilty until proven innocent, and proving your innocence is a luxury you cannot afford. When a silver snuff box goes missing from a lady's boudoir after you have cleaned the chimney, or a few coins disappear from a shopkeeper's counter, suspicion falls on you immediately and automatically. You are the outsider, the transient, the dirty boy. Who else could it be? The why behind this baked-in prejudice is a toxic blend of class bias and xenophobia. You are not a true Parisian. You are a Savoyard, a foreigner from a poor and distant land. You have no family in the city to vouch for you, no guild to defend you, no powerful patron to speak on your behalf. You are socially invisible and therefore criminally visible. In a society obsessed with social hierarchy, any crime, particularly theft, is seen as an assault on the natural order of things. It is an attempt by the lower orders to take what belongs to their betters. Punishing a poor, foreign child for such a transgression is a way of violently reasserting that social order. It is a demonstration that the property of the wealthy is sacred and that those at the bottom of the ladder will be held accountable for any disruption. Your presumed guilt is a convenient way to maintain the status quo. The accusation is a death sentence for your career, and possibly your life. Your master, whose only concern is his business, will not defend you. An accused sweep is bad for his reputation. He will cast you out immediately to protect his own livelihood. Suddenly, you are alone on the streets of Paris, without food, shelter, or protection. You are a marked boy. The city guards, the Get, can arrest you on sight. Imagine the scene. You are dragged before a magistrate. He sits behind a large, imposing desk, looking down at you with an expression of weary disgust. The lady of the house, her face a mask of distressed virtue, points a trembling, gloved finger at you. That's him, she says. He was the only one in the room. Her word against yours. She is a woman of property and standing. You are a grimy, illiterate child with a strange accent. It is not a fair fight. It is a foregone conclusion. Your protests of innocence are dismissed as the pathetic lies of a born criminal. You have no alibi, no witnesses, no way to articulate your defense in the formal language of the court. Your very appearance condemns you. The soot on your face and hands is read not as evidence of your work, but as a sign of your moral blackness. Remember the paradox of being a lucky charm, that superstition vanishes in an instant when a crime is committed. The same man who gave you a coin for luck will demand your imprisonment if he thinks you have stolen from him. Your magical status is a flimsy shield that shatters at the first sign of trouble. The darkness they once saw as powerful and benign is now seen as malevolent and corrupt. You have heard stories in the cellar about what happens to boys who are caught. They are taken to the Chtelet, the infamous Parisian prison. It is a place of unimaginable horror, a disease-ridden dungeon where prisoners are starved and brutalized. From there, they might be sentenced to the galleys, to a life of hard labor chained to an oar. Or they might be branded with a hot iron, a permanent, public declaration of their criminality. Or they might simply be hanged. The city makes public examples of thieves, especially young ones, as a warning to others. This constant, simmering suspicion changes the way you move through the world. You learn to make yourself small, to be invisible. When you are in a wealthy home, You keep your eyes downcast. You are careful not to look too long at any beautiful object. You touch nothing that is not essential to your work. You are in a constant state of low-grade fear, knowing that a single misplaced object, a single misunderstanding, could lead to your ruin. The soot that you cannot wash off becomes a permanent accusation, a stain not just on your skin, but on your character. You are trapped in a narrative written by others, a story in which you are always the villain. The city of Paris has a deep appreciation for maturity and experience, or at least, the illusion of it. A man of a certain age is seen as distinguished. A vintner praises his oldest wines. An antique dealer boasts about the centuries-old provenance of a piece of furniture. In the world of art, craftsmanship, and power, age is synonymous with value. A master in a guild has spent decades honing his skills. A general has earned his rank through years of service. A philosopher's grey hairs are seen as a sign of his wisdom. The entire social structure is built on a respect for seniority and the slow, steady accumulation of expertise over a lifetime. Your life is a cruel inversion of this principle. Your greatest asset is your youth, your smallness, your immaturity. The shocking reality is that for a chimney sweep, growing up is a professional death sentence. Your career has a brutal and unavoidable expiration date, and it arrives not in your old age, but in your early adolescence. Around the age of 12 or 13, your body, in its natural, healthy course of development, begins to betray you. Your shoulders broaden. Your hips widen. Your bones, once small and pliable, lengthen and harden. You are becoming a man. And in your trade, that is the worst thing that can happen. The why behind this tragic paradox is the unyielding geometry of the chimneys. They were built for a child's frame. An adult body simply cannot fit through the narrow flues and contort around the sharp bends. The very biology of puberty, the natural process that should be a gateway to adult life and opportunity, is, for you, a gateway to unemployment and despair. Your growing body is your biggest liability. The master who once measured you with a keen eye for your smallness now watches your growth with disapproval. You are a tool that is losing its effectiveness, an investment with a rapidly expiring shelf life. The first sign of trouble is a chimney you can no longer manage. You enter the flue, a familiar space you have climbed 100 times before, but this time it feels different. It's tighter. You have to force yourself through passages that were once easy. You get stuck more often, the panic more intense. You emerge from the chimney with more scrapes, more bruises, your body aching in new ways. You try to hide it. You try to make yourself smaller, to hold your breath, to twist in unnatural ways, but you cannot fight biology. You see it happening to the other boys, the ones who were once the quickest climbers, the most sought-after sweeps, start to slow down. They get relegated to less demanding jobs carrying the soot bags, holding the ropes for the smaller boys, or cleaning the wider, less dangerous flues of commercial bakeries. This is the beginning of the end. Their status within the cellar hierarchy plummets. They are no longer the elite climbers, they are has-beens at the age of 14. The master's attitude towards you changes. The meager pretense of care disappears entirely. You are now a mouth to feed that is no longer earning its keep. He becomes harsh, critical, abusive. He knows he only has a few more months of use out of you before your contract is up or before you become completely useless. He has no incentive to treat you well. You are a disposable good nearing the end of your utility. The fear is immense. What happens when you are too big? Your contract might end, and the master will send you back to Seoy. But you have been gone for years. Paris, for all its cruelty, is the only world you know. The thought of returning to a village you barely remember, to a family that may now see you as just another mouth to feed, is terrifying. You are no longer a simple farm boy, but you are not a Parisian craftsman either. You are something in between, belonging nowhere. You have no other skills. The only trade you know is one your own body has now rejected. Some boys, the desperate ones, try to starve themselves, hoping to slow their growth. They give away their bread, hoping to remain small enough to climb for another season. It's a futile, heartbreaking battle against nature. Remember the older boys you saw with the sickness. There is a grim intersection here. Sometimes, the cancer claims a boy before he has a chance to grow too big. In a twisted way, the disease extends his career by wasting his body away, keeping him small and wiry even as it kills him from the inside, which is the worse fate. To be discarded because you are too healthy and growing, or to be discarded because you are dying. It's an impossible, horrifying choice. As you lie in the cellar, you are acutely aware of the changes in your own body, an ache in your joints that feels like more than just the day's work, a new breadth to your shoulders that makes your thin shirt feel tight. You look at the smaller, younger boys, the new arrivals from Savoy, with a mixture of pity and envy. They have a few years ahead of them before they face the same crisis. You are on the verge of being aged out, of becoming obsolete. In a city that values the old and venerates experience, you have become too old at 12. Your past is a blur of soot and pain, and your future is a terrifying, empty void. The city has taken your childhood, and it has no use for your adulthood. The story of your life, as we've seen it, is one of unrelenting darkness. It is a narrative written in soot and suffering, a tale of exploitation, filth, and fear. The grand illusion of Paris is a beautiful, cruel stage play, and you are trapped in the grimmiest, most thankless role. It would be easy to imagine your existence as a flat, colourless landscape of pure misery, a life devoid of any light whatsoever. From an outsider's perspective, your world is a monochrome of grey and black. But the most shocking reality of all, the most unexpected secret, is that even here, in the deepest cracks of this brutal society, moments of grace and joy can be found. They are not grand or dramatic. They are small, fleeting, and intensely personal. They are tiny, brilliant sparks of light in the overwhelming darkness, and they are what make survival possible. They are the coins you find in the soot. The why behind these moments is the simple, stubborn resilience of the human spirit. Joy, kindness, and beauty are not luxuries that belong only to the rich. They are fundamental human needs, and they will find a way to bloom in the most inhospitable soil. Even in a life that is almost entirely defined by external forces, your master, your contract, the city's needs, there is a small, protected core of inner life that is still yours. These moments of grace are not part of the system. They are a rebellion against it. They are proof that you are more than just a tool, more than just a victim. You are a person. One such moment might be the taste of an apple. A street vendor, perhaps seeing the longing in your eyes, tosses you a bruised one from his cart. He does it with a gruff "get out of here," but you know it is an act of kindness. You run to a quiet alleyway before another boy can see it and steal it. You wipe the apple on your dirty trousers, which only adds a layer of grime. You don't care. You bite into it. The explosion of sweetness and juice in your mouth is a revelation. It is clean. It is crisp. It is vibrant. For a few seconds, the taste of soot is washed away. It is a taste of the earth, of the sun, of a world that is not made of stone and smoke. You eat it slowly, core and all, hoarding the experience, committing it to memory. Another coin might be a song. On a rare, quiet evening in the cellar, one of the older boys, a homesick lad from the mountains, begins to hum a tune from his village. It's a simple, melancholic folk song. Another boy picks it up, then another. Soon, the whole cellar is filled with the soft, sad melody. You don't all know the words, but you know the feeling. In that moment, the cellar is not a prison. It is a small corner of Savoy, a shared space of memory and longing. You are not just a collection of miserable sweeps. You are a chore. The music creates a fragile, temporary home in the air around you. Remember the god's eye view from the rooftop? That too is a coin. The sheer, breathtaking beauty of the city at dawn, seen from a perspective no one else has. You are alone. You are cold. You are on your way to a dangerous job. But for a moment, as you watch the sun turn the Seine to gold, you feel a sense of awe, a feeling of connection to something vast and beautiful. You are not just looking at a city, you are witnessing a miracle. You store that image away, a secret treasure to be revisited in the darkest moments. Kindness from a stranger is perhaps the most valuable coin of all. An old woman for whom you've cleaned a chimney, seeing your shivering frame and chapped hands, might insist you have a cup of hot, sweet milk by her fire before you go. She might ask your name, where you are from. For 5 minutes, you are not a Ramoner, you are a boy. She looks at you, really looks at you, and sees a person. The warmth of the milk spreads through your chest, but the warmth of her simple, human recognition spreads even further. It is a powerful reminder that not everyone in this vast, indifferent city sees you as a piece of filth. Even in your work, there can be a strange satisfaction. The feeling of reaching the top of a difficult flue, of breaking out into the clean air, is a victory. The sight of a fire burning brightly and drawing perfectly in a chimney you have just cleaned provides a flicker of professional pride. You have imposed a small amount of order on the chaos. You have done your job well. These moments are the coins you collect in a hidden pouch in your mind. They are what you live on. They do not change the fundamental horror of your situation. They do not make the hunger, the cold, or the fear go away. But they make it bearable. They are the small, irrefutable pieces of evidence that your life, even this life, has value. As you drift off to sleep, you don't think about the pain in your knees or the ache in your stomach. You think about the sweet taste of the apple, and for a little while, that is enough. The seasons turn. The brutal winter, your season of greatest hardship and greatest demand, eventually gives way to a tentative spring. The first pale green leaves appear on the horse chestnut trees. The air loses its high sea bite. Parisians begin to open their windows, letting the fresh air wash away the stale, smoky scent of the long winter. The fires in the hearths are lit less and less frequently, until one day they are not lit at all. For the grand figures of Paris, this is a time of renewal and looking forward. It is the beginning of the end of the grand story of the 18th century. Soon, the city will erupt in revolution. History, with a capital H, is about to happen. A new age of liberty, equality, and fraternity will be declared. This is the history that will be remembered, the one written in fiery pamphlets, in formal declarations, in the blood of guillotines and the annals of Napoleon's wars. It is a history of big ideas and loud, dramatic events, a narrative preserved in archives and museums, studied by scholars for centuries to come. This is the ultimate illusion, that history is a clear, legible story with famous names and definitive dates. But your story is not written in ink. It is written in soot. And soot, by its very nature, is meant to be erased. The shocking reality is that you will disappear from the record as completely as the grime you washed from your own skin. As the demand for your work dries up with the coming of the warm weather, your contract ends, the master pays the balance of what he owes to your family, and you are sent away. Perhaps you walk home to Savoy, a journey of weeks to a life you barely remember. Perhaps, having grown too big, you are simply cast out into the Parisian streets to fend for yourself. Or perhaps, like so many others, the sickness has taken root in your body, and you simply fade away in a charity hospital or a forgotten corner of the city, your death unrecorded, your name unknown. The why behind your erasure is the fundamental nature of history itself. History is a story told by the victors, the powerful, and the literate. It has no time for the small, silent struggles of an illiterate boy from the provinces. You left no diary. You wrote no letters. You signed no declarations. Your only mark on the world was the temporary cleanliness of a chimney, the absence of a fire. And history does not record the disasters that were averted. No one writes down the names of the thousands of families who did not die in a house fire because a small boy did his job. Your contribution is invisible because it was successful. Your entire existence was a paradox. You were essential to the city's survival, yet you were treated as disposable. You were a walking symbol of its filth, yet you were the agent of its cleanliness and safety. You were a good luck charm one moment, and a suspected thief the next. You were consumed by the very city you protected. The warmth of the philosopher's fire, where he wrote of the inalienable rights of man, was secured by a child who had no rights at all. The glittering salon, the heart of the Enlightenment, was kept safe from burning down by a creature of the darkness, a boy from a world that reason had not yet touched. Your story, and the stories of thousands of boys like you, became part of the literal dust of history. The soot you scraped from the city's flues settled on the streets, was washed by the rain into the Seine, or was worked into the soil of the farms outside the city walls. It dispersed, becoming an untraceable part of the landscape. In the same way, your memory, your pain, your small, secret joys, they all dispersed, absorbed into the vast, anonymous suffering of the poor. You are a ghost, a whisper. Your only monument is the city that survived, the buildings that did not burn, the families that did not perish. You are the silent, forgotten foundation upon which the grand, noisy history of Paris was built. And so your story, like the soot itself, settles, becoming a fine, invisible layer on the past, a dark dust that still coats the hidden corners of the magnificent, beautiful, and profoundly cruel city of light. And now, as our time together comes to a close, let the image of that small, soot-stained boy, who stood for so many, begin to soften and dissolve into the quiet shadows of your room. His world of harsh stone and choking dust can fade away, replaced by the softness of your own bed, the gentle weight of your own blanket. The faint, acrid smell of old smoke can be replaced by the clean, calm air you are breathing in and out. His story is over, a tale from a distant past, a whisper carried on the wind. He has done his work, and he can finally rest, lost to the great, silent expanse of history. There is no more danger now, no more cold, no more fear. There is only the peaceful quiet of this present moment. You are safe. You are warm. You are comfortable in your bed. A luxury he could never have imagined. Let go of the city, with its gilded carriages and its grimy cellars. Let it all drift away on a soft, quiet current, leaving nothing behind but a deep and profound sense of peace. The only sound now is the soft hum of the world outside your window, or the gentle whisper of a fan, a sound to carry you down, down, down into a deep and untroubled sleep. There is nothing left to do, nothing left to think about. Just the simple, easy rhythm of your own breathing, a gentle tide pulling you out into a calm sea of dreams. End of script. Sweet dreams.